Hi, and welcome to another episode of Will This Be in the Test, the podcast that delves into the shifting world of education, training, qualifications, and assessment. I'm Oz George from Agored Cymru, and in this edition of the podcast, we're going to explore the true value of apprenticeships, not only as a powerful way for learners to gain and develop skills and build meaningful careers, but also as a catalyst for broader growth and innovation in businesses and the economy. For the news roundup, we visit the FAB Conference in Leicester, where we catch up with friend of the podcast, Tim Burnett, to discuss how AI is shaping the future of assessment and how different approaches across the devolved nations could influence the path ahead. We'll also sit down with our special guest, Lisa Mytton, from the National Training Federation for Wales, the NTFW, and we dive deeper into apprenticeship reforms and what these changes mean for learners, employers, and the sector at large. And, as tradition holds, Lisa won't let us off without some homework. There's loads to discuss, so let's begin. Before we hear from Lisa, we have the news roundup. And this edition comes live from the FAB Conference in Leicester, where I caught up with Tim Burnett from the Test Community Network and our very own Pete Johnson from Agored Cymru. Let's take a listen as we dig into some of the key themes that emerged during the conference sessions.
So I'm here with Tim Burnett, catching up again at the FAB Conference, and we've had quite an interesting morning really, Tim, haven't we? With a few different speakers, we've had some seminars. How's it been for you so far?
It's been great. I really like the conference. It is a great one to come to. I think the only thing with these sessions is obviously there's a lot of policy-based things and a lot of conversations about English policy, so it's very narrow in terms of the audience, but the audience is here for it, so it's fine. I think for the AI assessment panel that we went to, that was the one I really wanted to hear and see what they had to say. And I wouldn't say I was underwhelmed. It was good. There was some good conversation, but I don't feel as though anyone got any true advice from it. I think Deborah from Hull College, she just absolutely demonstrated the fact that the colleges and other people are really rattling on with this, and they've got the regulator saying we've got an innovation team there to help and guide you if you want any help and guidance, but the AOs, there was nothing really there to kind of give them any solid basis to work on. I asked the question in the session, why they just at the moment it just seems like they're playing catch up on the existing tech, and they're not thinking to that 2-3 years down the line when we're going to have general intelligence, those kind of things. How is that going to change stuff? So I don't feel it's future gazing enough for me.
We were just in a session now that was looking at how to use AI, or how to map for AI, how to look and see if students are using it to cheat or whatever. And what became really apparent in that session was people have leapfrogged almost immediately from trying to block people from using AI at all to now trying to find ways to assess how well students are using AI or to give them advice on, and that also came through. And one of the things that Deborah did say was, if the AOs don't move quickly enough and start creating that type of either regulation, some advice, whatever, they're going to start doing it themselves unregulated, and we're going to get this very, very fast shift without the regulators' involvement. I mean, isn't that a little bit concerning?
Maybe. I don't know. I think there's some credit's got to go to organisations like Hull College and the other ones that are out there, because if they're on the ground, they've got the boots on the ground, they're really close to the learners, they know what the learners and the employers need. I do think one of the things we need to move away is these big quals. I think that's the problem. We need to be thinking more micro in the way we go up and out things to help us to be more iterative and be more supportive. So that's what the regulator needs to put in place, is support for that regular, frequent activity, and not the kind of traditional big stuff that we've always got in the lineup. So I think everyone needs to innovate on this, and we need to hear it from all angles. If we just wait for the regulator or wait for an else, we're all going to be even further behind. So I think I was in a session just now, the NTFW one, where we were talking about future assessment, and they've got a really great initiative, which I was really impressed with. Is a learner competition to get learners in institutions to think about how they want to use AI to assess. And that's brilliant, because you engage in the people who are actually going to be using this, and get their reflections on the feedback they get from AI. Do they prefer the feedback from AI? Do they prefer it from the tutor? So getting them involved in the process. Everyone has to be involved in this, and you just can't leave it to one group or organisation to figure it out, because we won't get anywhere, I don't think.
What I like about that point is music to my ears as an AO that provides unitized, smaller kind of content. I mean, that is the future. It's easier for us to map things together, for us to build new qualifications, to fit things in, fit new units in there. So that is music to my ears. But you're right. I think we're focusing too much on the big stuff and not really thinking about how we can fit it in.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm here with Pete Johnson, Head of Business Development at Agored Cymru. How are you, Pete?
Very well, thank you, Roshan. How are you today?
I'm really good. So we're here on day 2 of the conference. How do you think it's gone so far?
Yeah, gone really well, especially as we won our award last night for relationship with HIW. So that was fantastic news last night.
Very well done for shoehorning that in, Pete. Yeah, big fan. So yesterday's focus tended to be on digital and the approach of awarding organisations and industry to the rise of AI. What do you think was some of the key messages coming out of the sessions yesterday?
I think what's nice to hear, or was nice to hear yesterday, was a bit of a shift in the welcoming AI and embracing it rather than being scared of it. So I think that's just a bit of a shift across the whole sector at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Today is a lot more about the regulators and how things are done across the devolved nations. Do you think today is going to be such a positive message as it was yesterday?
I hope so, especially as we're going to hear from Paul Wales and the other regulators across the UK today. So, I hope so. I know Paul Wales are sort of on board with AI and we're supporting that agenda as well. So, let's hope so.
Brilliant. Okay, let's catch up a bit later on. The discussions at the FAB Conference have certainly given us all plenty to think about, from developing a common taxonomy of skills to considering how secondments can help professionals progress and grow throughout their careers by thriving on the way through. There's no shortage of questions about how our sector can evolve. We'll be looking at the barriers SMEs face in delivering meaningful apprenticeships, why awarding organisations should invest more in themselves, and the persistent challenge of youth unemployment. These are all complex issues that we will continue to unpack in future episodes. So stay tuned. So I'm really excited today to welcome Lisa Mytton from the National Training Federation for Wales, the NTFW, to talk to us about skills and apprenticeships and maybe alternative routes for learners and people in training to get to where they need to be. So welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Oshan. Thank you for inviting me to take part.
Just quickly at the beginning, would you mind telling everyone a little bit about the NTFW, what it is that you do, where you fit into the ecosystem of training and assessment and learning?
Yes, of course. So National Training Federation Wales, we're a membership organisation and we represent the independent training providers in Wales and then all of their subcontractors as well, representing learner voice, of course, and employer voice, very importantly. And more recently, well, within the last 3 years, our strategic direction really has been to ensure that we maintain a really collaborative partnership with Welsh Government and of course Medor now, the new Commission for Tertiary Education in Wales, supporting and being the voice for the training providers and apprentices, and more recently lobbying for, sustained and invested budgets for apprenticeships.
So as strategic director, you're obviously right at the forefront of this, working with all these different agencies.
Yeah.
How has it been with a change of government recently in England? Has that made any difference to the work that you're doing or the pressure that you can put on people?
I think it's twofold, really. I mean, the narrative that we're getting from Westminster, shall we say now, with the new government is that, as I'm sure you're aware, they have new priorities, Skills England, etc. And they're talking a lot about, the 4 nations and skills policy, which is really important, and skills plans. So there's that aspect to a new government, really, and seeing that drive moving forward, which we welcome. And inevitably, we want to see that consistent approach then coming through their counterparts in Cardiff, in Welsh Government as well. but also ensuring that, where these priorities lie, investment and funding comes along with it as well. So our hope is that, if that's the narrative coming through from Westminster, they will then support Welsh Government with additional funding so that we can, live and breathe these goals and aspirations that they have.
Looking at apprenticeships as a mode of learning. So on this podcast, we're looking at training, learning, and assessment is one of the things that we've looked at in the past. And obviously the theme, will this be in the test, is asking, is that traditional sense of assessment and the traditional way of learning the right way? Apprenticeships has always been an interesting mode of learning. Why do you think it's so important now for Wales and for the UK?
Well, I think, look, first and foremost, apprenticeships are a transformative force, for individuals and for the economy and employers alike, really. I think for me, if we're to think about the traditional apprenticeship, it does provide hands-on training and real life experience, and it equips individuals with practical skills, for their chosen careers. But as we move forward as well, when we think about new ways of assessment, AI being one of the biggest new platforms and new things out there, really, what apprenticeships does is it easily evolves. It easily changes with how the world is changing. They adapt so quickly, frameworks are changed, etc. Assessment methods are changed, because one thing with apprenticeships as well, and awarding organisations, etc., is that collaborative approach. You can easily work together to see what's best for the employer and the apprentice and what needs to change because of the ever evolving world that we live in. But assessment practices changed, and they will likely change again now with the introduction of AI. And I think making the apprenticeship again, one of the first choices for young people as well, as they leave school and decide, what they want to do as they move into the world of work, really. But I think as well, apprenticeships also offer a gateway to stable and long-term employment as well, within a lot of high demand sectors. We talk about construction, health and social care, these really big sectors with big needs at the moment, moving into green skills as well. So the opportunities are vast. And I think, apprenticeships and apprenticeship frameworks can offer that, and not forgetting, they do make education more accessible, I believe. You gain a qualification whilst, as we always say, earning an income as well at the same time, and it supports economy. So I could go on, but so passionate about it.
But that's the point, isn't it? Is that it's one of these things, and I have to say, even with my background in education, there is a stereotypical view of apprenticeships that it is for a certain category of jobs. But the truth is that there are apprenticeships across the board, aren't there? And it's that relationship with employers in all different sectors.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, you just have to think, we can't move away from and forget the apprenticeships that are our bread and butter, if you like, so our stable apprenticeships that we still need. So when we're talking about manufacturing, carpentry, automotive, hospitality, retail, etc., they are still so vitally important. But with, technology advances, etc., and innovations, like, as I said, artificial intelligence, but also digitalization, that's revolutionized industry and how we operate. So apprenticeships are the absolute must then for, moving into those new ways of working and adapting towards those changes. It does reshape, what a traditional workplace looks like. And apprenticeships are, at the forefront of doing that. We now have apprenticeships in fintech and cyber. Creative industries is one of the biggest growth economies in Wales at the moment. So we have now apprenticeships in gaming and coding. The opportunities out there are vast, as I said, and such a plethora of opportunities for young people as well. But going back to the point that you made, Oshan, on, what people perceive as apprenticeships and who they're actually for, this is the point that I wanted to make, about the diversity of them now as well and the opportunities out there. Apprenticeships are for everybody, they're for those young people who perhaps, aren't as academically minded as others, have a more hands-on creative approach to school and how they learn. Then you have apprenticeship routes for those. But, those who they class as more able and talented, there are opportunities for those as well. As you leave school, the pathways that they have, moving from levels 2 to 3 to 4, up to degree apprenticeships, there's opportunities for everybody. So, the parity of esteem message that we've been, really pushing for a number of years is there and so important. We should be seen in parity with an opportunity within further education and an opportunity within higher education, all three across the board.
There's some really interesting points that I want to drill into that you've mentioned. And I don't know where to go first because I'm so excited about all of them. But if we look at the earning money first, because I think it's the easiest one, because it's a big selling point, isn't it, for a young person or even someone who is already gainfully employed but wants to switch careers, know, being able to earn a wage while you're retraining is much better than having to drop out completely from the work environment. I'm just also thinking of the benefits to the wider economy of a young person, rather than accruing debt, is actually earning a crust and being able to pay money into the economy. You know, so from a wider perspective, it's got benefits to the individual, but also to the economy as well, which I think is great.
Yeah, it does. It's sort of a win-win situation, isn't it? You've got a person who's undertaken an apprenticeship who, as you said, is actually helping support the economy as well, by having a living wage and actually getting paid and then giving something back, if you like, as well. But then you've also got a person undertaking an apprenticeship, as I said, where you've got that workforce mobility as well, for want of a better word. I mean, if you think about it, it could be a person coming from school, undertaking an apprenticeship, and they're starting to earn as they learn. But then you've also got situations in Wales at the moment where we have, big redundancies in Tata Steel, but we've got a really great workforce there who've got years of experience, but we may need to reskill them or upskill them into new ways of working. Green skills, renewable energies may be one of those ways. Apprenticeships offer that opportunity as well, because we do have all age apprenticeships. So you still have somebody then helping the economy in two ways. One, by helping to deliver those skills needs for the future and what the economic growth in Wales is looking like. So helping to build that as well, but also somebody who's also bringing money back into the government, as well. So as I said, it's a bit of a win-win situation.
One of the issues that is being discussed at the moment is people coming into the workplace or people not wanting to come into the workplace because of their different commitments, the way that they feel about the world of work. We also have companies who are keen to get people back into the office and workers who are quite happy who would rather the flexibility of working at home. But we have that gap in terms of passing on experience from more experienced employees, handing the baton down.
Yes, yeah.
But you've just mentioned there about this massive workforce, for example, in Tata Steel, who have got all of the experience, have been in the workplace. What they just need is that extra bit on the top to convert those skills. So it seems to me that apprenticeships offer to the people who are unsure, who need that kind of guiding hand, to those employers who want their workforce at the place of work in order to pass that expertise on, and also then to the people who need to retrain. They seem to be offering an answer to several problems.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, with an apprenticeship, you have a work-based assessor, as we call it, but you also have a mentor in the workplace as well. Can you imagine the opportunity for a young person to receive, that lifelong experience from somebody in that position, not only upskilling themselves, but that they're able to, share their experiences and their expertise with a young person. So you've got that transition all the time then as well. We have got an aging workforce, but you've got opportunities for those skills to be developed and learned to a younger generation who can take that on. And then, as I said, continue to have a sustained economy in Wales as well. So, it does foster that. Apprenticeships actually foster that way of working.
It must be beneficial for the mentor as well, to have that young apprentice have a fresh pair of eyes on an industry or a sector, and they must learn. They must take a lot from it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think some of the case studies that we often publish, but also at the apprenticeship awards as well. What you'll hear maybe from an apprenticeship winner, but also somebody who has reskilled, listening to their their story and where they've come from. Perhaps they've had, adversities or challenges or been made redundant. What their apprenticeship has done for their own health, mental health and well-being, as well as being a mentor to a young person, has just helped them with their own self-esteem and motivation as well. So, you haven't got somebody then who's leaving the workforce, such a skilled person. We're actually retaining them as well. So it's really helpful all around.
There's obviously been a decision in Welsh Government in terms of the funding of apprenticeships. And I know that you have teamed up with Colegau Cymru, Colleges Wales, and released a statement. Can you explain a bit about that to listeners in terms of the impact that potentially could have on what we've already discussed is a very, very successful and suitable way for us to grow our economy and increase skills in Wales?
No, absolutely. Thank you, Ocean, so much for the opportunity to discuss it, because it's really fresh and it's really recent. But, Colegau Cymru colleagues and myself over the last 3 years, worked together in partnership and decided to have a collaborative approach so that we have a stronger voice, when we do have to go to government and talk about some of the challenges for apprenticeship programs, etc. So last year we were looking at, a 30% plus cut to the apprenticeship program. Fortunately, after a lot of lobbying, a lot of listening, we still had a cut, but it was a lesser cut. However, it was still at just over 14%. So what we did is, between the two of us, we commissioned a report, an independent research carried out by the Centre of Economics and Business Research, known as CEBA, and it highlights the far-reaching economic and social consequences of apprenticeship funding cuts in Wales. And we were able to really depict in that what the impact is on some of the government targets as well. So it emphasises the need for sustained investment in apprenticeships to support economic growth and workforce development in Wales. But what it critically highlights is, because of that 14% budget reduction, we've got nearly 6,000 fewer apprenticeship starts in Wales this year, and a 50.3 million short-run impact on the economy. And if you think about two of our most important sectors, but our hardest hit sectors, health and social care and construction sectors, are being impacted the most. So the funding cuts are disproportionately really affecting some of the most deprived people within the Welsh population. David, my colleague from Colegau Cymru, he set out to say that the data was deeply concerning and it underlines the devastating impact of apprenticeship funding cuts on Wales's economy. The findings were a stark warning, because without urgent action, we risk long-term damage to Wales's future workforce and economy. Apprenticeships must remain a priority for government funding to secure our future. And also, you have government priorities. We have concerning issues within the NHS. Well, if we don't have the health and social care apprenticeships, the qualified staff, that will have a knock-on impact on NHS waiting lists, bed blocking, etc. Because you're not going to be able to get those patients back out into their homes, out into the community where they're looked after by the health and social care workforce, of whom are built up by apprenticeships. So it's that type of issue that we have to really, put across strongly. And then construction the same. As I mentioned to you earlier, Westminster just today, government is ploughing forward with, more houses, more renewable, more green energy, etc. Well, we need that skills pipeline in order to deliver that. And that skills pipeline comes from apprenticeships again within the construction industry and trade. So altogether, the sensible choice for any government is to reinvest in apprenticeship programs.
Like you say, it's a win-win. They're getting that skills train in place. They're also having money put back into the economy. So it seems like and also, like you say, it's a way that we can skill people up in the economy whilst Absolutely. They're learning on the job, aren't they? That's the whole point of an apprenticeship. Yeah,
exactly. They are learning on the job. They are gaining that immediate experience. They're ready to run, they have that continuous mentoring and support from the training providers and the employer. So, you've got a skills pipeline then where you've got an individual who may become an entrepreneur. Wales is built up of so many small SMEs, small to medium businesses, etc. Apprenticeships are supporting those to sustain them, to make sure that they still have a place, within our economy as well. But yeah, like you said, it is a win-win situation because our apprenticeships become fully rounded, competent people with their qualification then at the end, and then go on to perhaps do a higher level qualification as well. So it is absolutely the best choice for me for our young people and reskilling people as well.
If we take a look, because this is your bag strategy, if we take a strategic look at stuff, Wales has just changed the curriculum. And it's working its way through now all the way through from nursery right through. And we're in the next couple of years going to get to the point of Key Stage 4, 14 to 16. Those are the next ones. Next year, we've got the first lot of general quals going through. But the big thing, again, for our sector, I suppose, or for the NTFW, will be the vocational pathway, isn't it? Which is going to come out in September 2027.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is strategically wise to be reducing the apprenticeship outlay when we're actually creating more of a pathway into that route? Because in 2027, we are going to create pathways into sectors. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Can you?
No, look, I completely agree with you. I think we're looking at these pathways to help our young people become more work ready, if you like. So the offer of those pathways and that suite of qualifications for our 14 to 16, our 14 to 19-year-olds, etc., will make them more readily available to come into our job markets and to come into an apprenticeship opportunity. So we can't be reducing the end goal then if we've got this big chunk of work happening within the middle of it. If we go back a step and we think about the new curriculum for Wales, what that is offering, again, the future for apprentices and apprenticeship providers is a fantastic opportunity to get in there, even a primary level when you talk about career-related work experiences, which forms part of the new curriculum. It helps embed into young people what the opportunities are within Wales, so we can also retain that talent in the future in Wales. We can grow the economy. So it talks to them at primary age and secondary age about these fantastic opportunities. As I've said, the diversification now with tech integration, AI, virtual reality, digital platforms, all of these fantastic new flexible ways of working and flexible learning experiences. Well, the end goal is to have the apprenticeship. So we can't reduce that by reducing funding or reducing those frameworks. We have to make sure that's sustained and grows and is invested in, because otherwise what we're doing with the new curriculum for Wales and what we're doing with the new pathways as well, well, where's that going to take people? It's not going to take them to that end goal. What they can do then is move on to an apprenticeship program. So it makes sense. You know, it needs more medium and long-term thinking rather than the short term. I know we're talking 2027, but, we need to make those decisions and invest now. It'll
be around quicker than anyone realises.
Absolutely.
Which is frightening for me because my son will be sitting those exams. So that's one of the things that I'm more concerned about at the moment. So talking about skills as well and the importance of skills, Wales are hosting the World Skills Olympics next year. Is that?
Yes.
That sounds very, very exciting. And it seems like something that we should be celebrating and shouting about.
Oh, absolutely. Paul, who's our World Skills Chief Officer, he's the guy who runs it for us. We've invited him into a breakfast networking event that we had last week, which some of your colleagues attended. And we had two just recently returned bronze medal winners as well, 2 World Skills Apprenticeship medal winners, which is fantastic to celebrate and just listen to them about what it's actually done for them. But World Skills is a fantastic opportunity. It is the Skills Olympics. It's on a worldwide platform. We're hosting them in Wales next year. It's a fantastic opportunity for any providers, any colleges, etc., to nominate young people to take part. Because I actually, I don't judge or anything like that, but I did have the opportunity to go and see some of the judging take place and some of our young people actually, taking part in a contest back at the beginning of this year. And I was so nervous for them. It's so important. It's taken so seriously, but we have people from automotive to aircraft engineering to accounting, just hairdressing, etc., showcasing their skills at all levels, including apprenticeships on a world stage. And it is amazing. And in the past, we've had gold medal winners, silver medal winners. As I said, 2 bronze medalists joined us last week. And what it does for those young people, their self-esteem and their progression as well in their careers in the future and their employers is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Google World Skills. And if anybody's listening who wants to put some participants forward, I think the deadline is creeping up shortly. So take a look and make sure you also take part and come see some of the skills competitions happening as well.
I think it's really important to understand as well that skills are being recognised, in such a prestigious way, because that can be overlooked sometimes. The idea that you work and play. And a lot of the stuff that people do as recreation and play gets rewarded in a prestigious way. Isn't it refreshing that people can be rewarded for the skills they develop as part of their career and as part of their work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this global competitiveness, if you want to call it, it also puts Wales on the map. So, they're not only exchanging some great opportunities, but what it does for them as well, as I said, it gives them, the apprentices, their own sort of personal recognition that what they're doing is actually recognised on a global stage and enhances their own skills. It builds cultural relationships, etc., teamwork and adaptability. So it just helps prepare apprentices as well, for this connected world that we live in. So it's a fantastic opportunity.
I think it's great for the UK in general as well. But when we think about some of the other countries and you think about some of the professions that are respected in other countries compared to, and this is stereotyping and generalizing, but sometimes in the UK, we have thought of certain sectors and certain jobs, certain professions as not quite as important as others, not quite as worthy, if I'm using inverted commas. I think it's really important that we start to recognize them. And this seems to me like a really good way for them, like you say, to compete with their global peers, to compete with those countries where those professions have always been highly respected.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, if you think about some of our European counterparts, often we would think of apprenticeships and how fantastic they are in sort of countries like Germany. And I know recently colleagues had visited Finland as well to see how it happens there. But, for me, Wales has the potential to become a global model for apprenticeship innovation as well. This helps us to showcase, our own flexible and forward-thinking frameworks and programs, and that they can thrive. So I think it blends our cultural strengths, if you like, as well, with a focus on those future industries as well. And I think that we in Wales can set benchmarks that inspire other nations, other than it always being the other way around. I think we can be a leader in doing that now, and World Skills helps us to do that as well.
That's brilliant. I saw some work from a project where they'd been over to Finland to have a look at their vocational model recently, and in fairness, it does look very, very good, and something that would be really interesting to see if we were to implement some of the findings from that trip as well.
Yeah, I think so, and there's a lot of discussions around some of those findings happening now, and I think as we're evolving into what do apprenticeships look like, and talking to government about that, talking to ministers, cabinet secretaries about that as well, and working on that goal and those aspirations together, we can have, a global, sort of beyond Wales apprenticeship programme that's not just about workforce development, but it does transform our communities as well, doesn't it? It creates equity and it does foster, for me, resilience as well in an ever-changing world. As I said, Wales can become a leader. We can set out skills policy and skills plans together. Welsh Government, Medwr and the providers, it would be fantastic. And I think an opportunity is arising now to actually do that, to be transformational.
That is really interesting and great to hear. Just finally, last week we were at the FAB Awards, the Federation of Awarding Body Awards, and there was a lot of talk about looking at the future. A lot of what you've said about, the importance of the construction construction industry, healthcare, and all this kind of thing. And a lot of what was coming out was the importance that we do shift from knowledge to skills based, that there was an importance that skills were acknowledged with parity to knowledge, but also that actually we should be shifting to more of a skills model. And there was a lot of talk about the way that the Welsh curriculum was developed, and there was a lot of noise coming from people who were interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Looking forward into the future, do you think that this is something that we're going to be able to do, and how successful will we be in making that shift?
I think we can do it. I think there's a lot of strategies currently under consultation, currently being delivered shortly. So you have a lot of people looking at their own strategic plans. By that, I mean critical partners to ourselves as training providers. So Meda have just done their strategic consultation. As I said, Welsh Government with Westminster now in place as well, Skills England. I know the colleagues from Welsh Government are listening to what's happening there. So together we can actually look at, what those critical skills challenges are, and then we can develop some major policy changes together as well across Wales, which is critical really for economic growth. So, that connection between skills and growth is so important. It's so well established that, I believe that with partners, with collaboration, collectively, we can actually do that, and show where our skills need is and work together on it as well to maximize the potential, and do that within the apprenticeship world really as much as possible. And I think, as I said, the opportunity to do that as we're all moving strategically forward and thinking about, how things have changed, how things have evolved, and what we can do together, and learning from each other as well.
Do you think the future's bright?
Absolutely. I'm forever optimistic. I'm forever passionate about apprenticeships because I started as one at 16 years old myself. So I've sort of lived and breathed it, and hence my passion comes through because of that and the opportunities that it gave me at the age of 16. So for me, I think the future is definitely bright. More so now than perhaps a couple of years ago, and more so than perhaps even last year when we had that cut to the budget. I think, years are pricked, people are listening, and about the importance of apprenticeships to help economic growth and to help government priorities. So, we need reinvestment, and I think it is brighter.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. This has been really, really good.
You're welcome.
A quick heads up for our listeners. In future episodes, we'll be unveiling details about a whole new range of vocational qualifications designed for 14 to 16-year-olds in Wales, as well as updates on financial qualifications formally delivered by the LIBF for the whole of the UK and further afield. It's all part of some exciting developments at Agored Cymru that we can't wait to share with you. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. We're back with Lisa Mytton for our homework segment. So I hope you've got your pens and paper ready, because Lisa's got a belter for you this month. This, I think, is a book. Is that right, Lisa? Do you want to take it away and tell the listeners what they got to do for their homework?
Yeah, of course, by all means. So part of what I also do here in my hometown of Merthyr Tydfil is I sit on a charity board called the Stephen St George Charitable Trust. And we're encouraging children, young people, well, all age people really in the community to continue to pick up a book, and yes, there's wonderful things that, you can listen on podcasts and things like that, which is fantastic, but sometimes it's just nice to have that book in your hand. And I was fortunate enough to meet the author of this book, Floyd Woodrow, and the book, I was actually given a copy on the day. The book is called The Warrior, The Strategist and You. And listening to Floyd, who's ex-SAS, as you can imagine, the challenges that Floyd have been through in his past, but really he put pen to paper to talk about, what you want in life and what is your life compass. So what is your life compass? And also it's about finding your own North Star. So as soon as he started talking about it, I thought, I'm already buying into this. Where is my North Star? What is my North Star? And what is my life compass? And I found it a really, really informative book. It is fantastic. It helps you to find your purpose and release your own potential. And as you read through the different chapters, at the end of each chapter, there's also a QR code as well, because Floyd is all about you having fun when you're reading this book and thinking about, your future direction. And what those QR codes do is they give you a message to inspire and help you on your journey. It's about, the power of purpose and nurturing our dreams as well. But also there's a quote in there, and I thought I'll just read this to you so your listeners can maybe then pick up this book as well. It says, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go and do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." And I thought that just resonated with me. I thought that is a fantastic way. So yes, success is a strategy and a failure. It's not an accident. This book helps you guide your compass and find your own North Star. So give it a go.
That sounds really interesting. And do you know what? It's really refreshing to have a book from someone who with the background of being in the SAS, which is focused on something that isn't about adversity.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's not to knock anyone who's in the SS who's written books, but obviously, like you say, that they must have such challenging experiences. But for someone to come out with a book which is all about kind of dreaming and reaching, and that's absolutely fantastic. He must have had fun. Was it in Merthyr?
Yeah, it was in Merthyr. He came along. We had a bit of an open day in the summer, and he came along to just share his own experiences and share about, finding his life compass and his own North Star with an audience that we had there. And I was intrigued, and I started reading it straight away. And it's really, really good. It's really good. He talks about taking the time to rest and re-energize yourself and your mind as well. But, also, I like this one. This is a good one for our listeners, your listeners. The key to good decision making is not knowledge, it's understanding. Isn't that great? That's so pertinent to what we've been talking about today as well. So, pick up a copy.
That is very, very good.
Compass for Life.
He must have felt at home so close to Pen y Fan, ex-SAS, because that is their training base of operations, isn't it? And they say that Pen y Fan and the Welsh weather was what made the SAS the best armed force in the world.
It is. And my understanding is, Floyd talks about, strengthening your inner warrior and, helping yourself to train yourself and help yourself to maintain the highest levels of discipline. I can only imagine what he had to do in the SAS, but you're quite right. With regards to Pen y Fan, which is just sort of 6 miles up from where I'm speaking to you from, I also understand that it's where the Air Force would parachute SAS and the like in as well, because of the way that the mountains fall when they're moving into different terrain. And I know when they were working in Afghanistan and Iraq and places like that, this was one of the biggest landscapes and best landscapes to train in for a similar mountainous area. So yes, lots of history on the doorstep as well.
Fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you, Lisa. I would like to do it again at some point in the future. Will you come back and have another chat and as the story develops with apprenticeships in Wales and the UK?
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of Will This Be in the Test? Before we sign off, don't forget your homework from Lisa Mytton. Read The Warrior, The Strategist and You by Floyd Woodrow. It's a great choice for anyone looking to broaden their perspective and possibly a thoughtful gift or a stocking filler as we head into the holiday season. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform. It really does help us out. And we're now excited to announce that we're on Blue Sky. So join us there to keep the conversation going, share your questions, offer topic suggestions and recommend future guests. Your involvement is what helps maintain and grow this positive, forward-thinking community. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.